everybody to have refuah shalema, and we should all see the Yeshua b'karev.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Okay, so just to chaza quickly from yesterday. Again, we'll try and get to the bottom line here, the bottom line of this whole sugya. But it's very major important sugya. It's just a little complicated. The beginning of tonight's Gemara is a little complicated. Just to follow it, so don't lose faith in it. But again, we're talking about a kira, which is an oven that has a place for 2 pots. So the heat is not so intense. So the Mishnah says that it depends which type of fuel you use. That's going to be dependent on what the halach is. So if you use kash and gavava, which is straw, so that's much less of a heat. So therefore, and Mishnah Brura says that the reason why it's not such an issue is because the straw just dissipates. Right when it stops burning, it dissipates. There's no coals with straw, which I think is, if you burn straw, that's what you do see. So therefore, we're not so worried about you mixing coals. But gefes and eitzim, that wood, that does make coals. So since it makes coals, so therefore we have to be more worried that you're going to mix around the coals. Then we have machlokes in the Mishnah, 2 machlokes, beis shamai and beis hillel. So beis shamai says we're only talking about hot water, but cooked food is not allowed. Parrot, did you hit the record again? And that's one. And beis hillel says it's talking about both cooked food and hot water. And then beis shamai says you're allowed to take it. You're allowed to leave the food on there from before Shabbos, so you're not allowed to put it back on. And beis hillel says you would be allowed to put it back on as long as you cover it, or you cover it with ashes, or sweep away the actual cold. Then you're going to be okay. So the Gemara, we left off in the middle of where we're trying to figure out if the beginning of the Mishnah is talking about leaving the fire, leaving the food on from before Shabbos, or is it talking about just putting the food back on after Shabbos? After Shabbos already started, meaning again, chazara. One is called chazara, meaning from reviewing to put the food back on, and the other one is called shehiyah, leaving the food on from before Shabbos. Right. So if you hold that this Mishnah is only talking about chazara, but leaving the pot on from before Shabbos, so that makes a big difference. That means, according to everybody, if you're allowed to leave the food on a pot from before Shabbos, as long as, even if the food is not fully cooked, as long as it's half cooked, like Michael and Drusai, then you have no issues, right? So that would be like Chananya. That's what the Gemara is trying to figure out. Is this Mishnah, does Chananya fit into this Mishnah or not? So we got finished saying on Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph that there's something missing from the Mishnah, right? Chisure mechzer is something missing, and we do have a way to explain the Mishnah that it's talking about Chazara, putting it back. But according to all opinions, you would be able to leave the food on there from before Shabbos. The top Tosfos says, how come Chisure mechzer means basically we're saying there's something missing from the Mishnah. How come the Gemara has to go so far to try and find something missing from the Mishnah? So Tosfos says, because we, at the end of the day, which we'll see, will we get to it tonight? I think we will get to it tonight, yeah. We're going to see that we do paskin like Hananya. So since Tosfos knows we paskin like Hananya, which means that you're allowed to leave half-cooked food on an uncovered oven, as long as it's there before Shabbos. So since we know the halach is like Hananya, we're going to try and fit the Mishnah in according to Hananya. So that's why we have Chesurim Echsra. Okay, so we're going to pick it up. Toshima. It's around Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph, 2, 4, about 10 lines down.
Trivia. Where else did we have a funny Chesurim Echsra?
A funny one?
Yeah, an unusual Chesurim Echsra.
Well, this one's not unusual, I don't think.
This one's not as unusual as we had.
We had one, yeah. I don't even remember it. Brachos for Shabbos.
I don't remember.
I'm a genius, right?
It was the top of Amud bais somewhere.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't your usual. That wasn't not a usual Chesurim Echsra, right? That's what you're talking about?
It was a Chesurim Echsra to touch up in a meir.
Right. Yeah, of course I have no recollection with this. Yeah.
Nobody? Eva?
Nope.
Eva fell asleep.
I don't remember any interesting ones.
Maybe he's taking care of Abba.
Yeah, where is
I'm not taking care of Abba.
No?
I'm just taking care of Abba. I invited him to the shir.
All right.
You did the right thing.
He might still be on the phone call. I don't know.
I hear. Okay.
Has to answer to his mother.
Fine. So Zog the Gemara. Yeah. So Toshima. The Amar Rav Chalboy, Amar Rav Chama Bar Guri. Ever has it? Amar Rav. This whole Gemara that we're talking about is only to put the pot on top of the fire. But to put the pot inside the oven where the actual ashes are, that would be where actual coals are, that's for sure awesome. Okay? So that's an independent statement. Again, that this whole issue is putting the pot down on top of the fire, but to put it in the fire is a problem. So if you say that our mission is referring to putting it back, so then it makes a big difference whether you're allowed to take the pot that you took off on Friday night. Let's say you took cholent Friday night, and you want to put back the cholent. So if we're talking about putting it back, the mission is referring to putting it back. Yeah, so it doesn't make it. So then we understand why it makes a difference whether you're putting the fire back inside or on top. The mission is talking about whether you're allowed to leave the pot on there from before Shabbos. What's the difference if it goes inside or it goes on top? If it's there before Shabbos, it's not going to be an issue, right? So therefore, it must be that the mission is talking about leaving the pot. This whole machlokes is talking about leaving the pot on the fire from before Shabbos. So Gemara says, "Mi stavros Rachel Reisha Koi." Who says Rachel is going on the Reisha? A Sefer Koi. Rachel is going on the Sefer, which is for sure talking about putting the pot back. This Hillel says you're even allowed to put the pot back on the fire. This is only talking about on top. Inside, it's usher. So there we have no proof. Again, we have no proof whether the mission is referring to this whole machlokes is referring to leaving it on from before Shabbos or putting the pot back on Shabbos. So then another one. Toshima, bais kiras hamatimas. Yeah, so this can get a little technical here. Bais kiras hamatimas, the two pots, right? Two kiras hamatimas, twins, right? Twin kiras, twin ovens right next to each other. Achas group of ketuma. One is the coals were swept away, and or the ashes were put on top of it, which is perfectly fine, and you'd be able to put pots there. But achas she'ena group of ketuma. One didn't have anything done to it, and the coals are still there fresh. You are allowed to leave pots on the oven, on the side of the oven, or on the one oven that is covered over or swept away, and you're not allowed to leave the pots on the one that had nothing done to it. Umahin mashin. Now mashin means to leave. Shehiyah means to leave it on from before Shabbos. Umahin mashin b'shamay v'loy klum. The shamai says you can't leave anything on there. And Beis Hillel says you're allowed to put hot water and not tavshel. Now this
is our double ovens. Is that what this is?
What do you mean? The one on top of the other?
Yeah, this case.
Well, no, this is one side. This is side by side. So I don't know.
It shares a common wall. That's the same thing, right?
Yeah, no, right. Yeah, right. 100%. That would be the case. Yeah, right. So Okar, let's say he took the pot off the fire. Everybody holds you not allowed to put it back. This is meir. Now, this opinion is way stricter than our Mishnah. Okay, because here he's saying to do shehiyah, Beis Shammai says you're not even allowed to leave hot water on there from before Shabbos. Right? And Beis Hillel says only hot water, which in our Mishnah wasn't like that. Beis Shammai said hot water, and Beis Hillel says even food. Right? And Chazari, nobody allows anything. Yehuda, Beis Shammai, it's chamen and not tavshil. Beis Hillel chamen vit tavshil. Beis Hillel says it's chamen. Sorry, did I just lose you? Sorry, I pressed the button. Am I back? I guess. You're shaking your head.
You're good, yeah.
Okay. Sorry. You're allowed to leave hot water and not tavshel. Beis says chamen and tavshel. Beis Shammai says you're allowed to take it off, but you're not allowed to put it back. So now Rabbi Yehuda fits a little bit more into our Mishnah, but Rabbi Meir certainly doesn't. So now if you say that our Mishnah is talking about leaving it on there, so masnis and money, who's our Mishnah? Rabbi Yehuda, it's going to be Rabbi Yehuda. And everything fits. But if you say our Mishnah is talking about putting the food back on, like we said, taking the cholent off the fire on Friday and putting it back on, some masnisa money. Who's our Mishnah? Loy Rabbi Yehuda, Loy Rabbi Meir. Our Meir and Rabbi Yehuda don't fit into our Mishnah. Why? Meir kasha lebeshamai b'chada. If it's Meir, then it's a kasha on beshamai with one, because Meir said that beshamai holds you not allowed to leave anything on there, and in our Mishnah, beshamai says you're allowed to leave hot water. Well, Beisilo betarti, and Beisilo nothing fits according to Meir. And here Rabbi Yehuda kasha grufa ketuma. And if it's Rabbi Yehuda, then it's a kasha of grufa ketuma. Okay, that's what the Gemara's kasha is. It's a little technical, but so let's see what the Torah says. And I know really I tell you something about to put it back. When you took it off Friday night, you want to put it back. Who says our Tana has to say like Rabbi Yehuda or bust? Meaning, who says that everything has to go like Rabbi Yehuda? Maybe he partially holds like Rabbi Yehuda and part of the Mishnah, and partially he doesn't hold Rabbi Yehuda. That's what the Gemara is saying. So he holds like Rabbi Yehuda on one, and he argues with him on another one. He holds like Rabbi Yehuda by hot water and cooked foods, and you're allowed to take it off and put it back. And he disagrees with him in one case. The our Tana holds that you're allowed to leave it, even if it's not, it's not covered over. Rabbi Yehuda, meaning the coals are not covered over. Yehuda saw belishos nami garaf akatim in Ilai. And Rabbi Yehuda holds that even for shehiyah, you need to use a blech, to use modern terms. Meaning either you sweep the coals away or you cover it with ashes. Okay, so now basically we have no idea what's going on in our Mishnah, which I imagine everybody understands that we have no idea what's going on in our Mishnah. Right? I don't have much of an idea either. I even have a basic idea, but there's basically 3 different attempts. That's what the Gemara did for the last block. 3 attempts to figure out if our Mishnah is talking about leaving the food on from before Shabbos or putting the food back on once you took it off on Shabbos. Either way, the Gemara doesn't have a proof for either way it goes. So now they start with a different question.
So Yaakov, just to clarify one thing, Gruf and Ketum, why would there be what's the reason behind the shita that holds you don't need to be Garf and Ketum? Meaning, why are they not concerned that you might come to
once the food is fully cooked, then there's no concern. Once the food is fully cooked, there's no concern according to anybody. Well, according to one opinion, there's a concern.
But isn't there opinion that holds even if it's not fully cooked, we're still not concerned?
Yeah. So once it's cooked more than half, then we're not concerned that you're going to mess around with the coals. That's what his opinion is. That he doesn't think you're gonna. It's cooked enough that you're not going to mess with it.
Got it.
Right. That's all. Please bring another side.
Okay. So now we start with something else. And then we'll get into something that, and then we'll go into take it to the next step. What about, and Yossi Katz, this is what you were saying. What about leaning the pot on the side of the oven? I mean, you have an oven. So, our ovens probably don't have it because there's usually counters on either side of the ovens. But let's say you didn't have that. What about just leaning the pot on the side of the oven? So the oven's giving off heat. Can you put something on the side of it as opposed to putting on top of it, right? Or you have a crock pot, let's say, putting food against the side of the crock pot. That's what we do in our house a little bit to at least make the food, from the fridge instead of, we don't have a way really to warm it up. So you put it against the side of the crock pot. So what about that? What about leaning on it? Putting it inside or putting it on top is also but to lean it on the side is okay.
Would the same apply to putting it on the blech, not on the fire one, but it's a big blech
where it's not so hot?
Yeah.
That would also be a good example. Yeah, very good. Yeah, or it makes no difference. And once we're saying that you can't put it near the fire, so you can't put it even on the side. So Tashamash, hamatimas. If you have 2 pots that we just said, 2 ovens, hamatimas, twin ovens, achas group of a ketuma, achas shena group of a ketuma. One has the garaf and katam, meaning one has the blech. We'll start using blech for garaf and katam as opposed to, translating it. Achas shena group of ketuma, one does not have a blech, so it's got the straight coals. So mashan al gabi group of ketuma, you're allowed to leave it on the oven that has the blech. So there's going to be heat coming from the oven that's next to it, right? So, and we're not concerned. So you see that you would be able to put it on the side. So Gemara answers, no, Dilma Shani Hasam the Kivin the medallia Shalipa Aviru. No. There it's different because there it's on top of the oven next to it. So there's a little bit of air. So therefore, the air is going to cool it off. But putting it on the side, maybe there's no interruption because it's right up against the side of the oven. So therefore, maybe it would be more of a problem. So Toshma, Damar of Safra, Amar of Kitma Vinislavna. Oh, so what about this case? This case is you covered it over. Kitma means you put the kitma is another word for ashes. So you covered it over your heat source with ashes. Vinislavsa, and then it broke through the ashes. Right? You would think that this is a common thing. Again, you put ashes on top of your coals, and then the coals blew right through the ashes. Right? You're allowed to lean something on that pot, and you could leave it there, and you could take it from there, and you could put it back. So it's very clear. So we're saying Shema Mina Lismaknami, Kitma in Loy Kitma Loy. So we say Smicha, you're allowed to do it. If you put on the coals, then it works. Smicha works. But if you didn't put on the coals, then it doesn't work. So then the Gemara says, you said you're allowed to take the pot off from the fire or from leaning it on the fire. That's only if you have ashes on it or not. That obviously that doesn't make a difference. To take a pot off of a fire, there's no restrictions ever. If the pot's on it before Shabbos, just to take it off, what kind of restriction do you have? There's no restriction. Right? So it must be Elatana Nightlin B'Shum Machzir. And the reason why it says Nightlin is because we want to say, when you want to say that you're going to put it back, so in order to make everything uniform, so you say you take the pot off and you put it back. Hachanami, Tana Saimchen B'Shum Mekaymin. The only reason why it says to lean it is only because we're trying to say that you're leaving it on there. But really, Saimchen is Lav Dafka, and you can't prove anything from that. So the Gemara answers, Hachihash, is that so? Hasam Nightlin Machzir B'Chad Makamu. Taking it and putting it back, that's in one spot. So you want to say you took the pot off, you put the pot back in the same spot. Tana, so Tana like the Mishum of Zir. So therefore it says you took off the pot because we want to teach that you're going to put it back. The leaning is in one spot, right? Because you're leaning it on one side, and Mekaymin is putting it on top of the oven. That's in a separate spot. So what's the difference? Right? What's the difference? One has nothing to do with the other. So therefore, that the Gemara uses a lashon of mekaymin, that you're keeping the pot on top of there, and it uses a different lashon of leaning it. So it must be that you're allowed to lean it on the side. Okay, so that's what the Gemara says right now. So my havila, right? We had this a few times. My havila means basically, okay, now that you ran us around over here for a block, trying to figure out what this is talking about before Shabbos, after Shabbos, what is the deal? Right? My havila is basically, Rabbi, tell me what the deal is. Right? So Tashima Kirush Isikul Begevas of Eitzim, if you have a pot that was heated up with Gevas and Eitzim with wood, Simchan law, you're allowed to lean on it, Vein Mekayman, and you're not allowed to leave it on there, Elimkin Grufa Katuma, unless you put a blech. Kacholim Shamamu, but if you have coals that are going out, or you put on it, how do you say Nairishal Pishtan? There's a word for it. Pishtan is flax. You know, like the way they used to keep those esrogim, those strings of flax, daka, thin flax.
Angel hair.
Angel hair?
I thought that's what it was.
What?
I thought that's what it was called, angel hair.
Okay, but I'm saying that's the nickname. But what is it? It's something sort of like flax. Okay, so you put this flax on top of the coals in order to reduce the heat. So that's also like ksuma. Okay, fine. So Amar Rav Yitzchak Bar Nachmani, Amar Rav Aishia. Kitma v'huvara. If you put on the, this is going back to what we said before. You put on the coals. Kitma again means putting on, not coals, I'm sorry, put on the ashes. V'huvara, and it burns through. Mashan aleh, chamet shuchan will call tzarchan, v'tavshu shabisha call tzarchan. You're allowed to leave on it hot water that is fully hot, meaning it's boiled already. And you're allowed to put on there cooked food that's fully cooked. Okay, now we get into something that's a whole nother sugya over here. Again, let's make it clear what it's saying. If you put on the ashes on top of the coals, so that should cool it down. So now you should be able to leave your cooked food on top of it. So the Gemara is saying you're allowed to leave hot water that's fully cooked and food that's fully cooked on top of these coals, even if the fire burns through the ashes, right? So shmamina mitztamek viyafa loy mutter. So what we hear from this is that mitztamek, the literal translation of mitztamek means if it shrivels, viyafa loy, and it's good, it's mutter. Okay, so now basically mitztamek viyafa loy means if you have a food that the longer it cooks, the better it is, then maybe we don't look at it like it's fully cooked. Meaning you can have a fully cooked food, like a steak, right? You have a fully cooked steak. You leave it on the fire too long, it's going to start getting bad, right? But cholent, kugel, and soup, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but, right? All that stuff, the longer it sits on the fire, the better it gets, right? So the Gemara is saying that maybe, so till now we've discussed half-baked food and fully cooked food. But what happens if it's fully cooked, but the longer it stays on there, the better it gets? So maybe we have to look at it like it's not fully cooked. So Gemara is saying, Shema Mina, that mitztamek v'yafaloi, since it says as long as the food is fully cooked, you're allowed to leave it on the ashes, on the fire, right? As long as you put ashes there, so then mitztamek v'yafaloi is mutter. It must be that even if it's going to get better if it stays on there, it's mutter. Otherwise, the Gemara should have said, as long as it's cooked food, as long as it doesn't get better. It doesn't say that. It just says, as long as it's fully cooked, you're allowed to leave it there. So then the Gemara answers, Shani hacha to kitma. No, but here, the reason why mitztamek v'yafala is okay is because you covered it over. Right? Maybe we said you covered over the ashes, but if you didn't cover it over the ashes, then you would not be able to leave food that gets better with age. So the Gemara says, Yihachi, my lemembra. If that's the case, then what's the chiddush? Of course, if you put ashes on top of the fire, you're allowed to put the food there. So Gemara answers, Hubaritz the you need to know because it burned through, right? It burned through your ashes. So Mao the same even the Hubara, so since you burned it, it goes back to its original state, which is that it's as if it's a regular fire that doesn't have any blech on it. Kamash Malon, that we do look at it like it has a regular blech. So Amar Rachanam Rabbi Yochanan Kitma Vubara Mashim Lechaman Shulchan will call Tzarg Matafshish called Tzarg Vafil B'Cholam Shal Roisim. Right? If you put on the ashes and it burns through the ashes, you're allowed to leave fully cooked water and fully cooked food, and even if it's kachalim shel roisim, which is a type of wood, right? It's a wood that creates a higher intense heat than regular wood. So we have another proof that we say mitztamek v'yafaloi, it's going to get cooked better with age, and it's going to be mutter. So the Gemara says shani achad the kidman. No, same Gemara. There it's different, or here it's different because it was covered with ashes. So that's why we don't care about if it's going to get better with age. Then what's the chiddush? So Gemara answers, no, it burned through. I know hach. So Gemara says that's the same Gemara we just said. We just repeated the same exact thing. So what are you saying? So Gemara answers, no, we need the chiddush to tell you that even the coals from this wood that creates a very intense heat, which then you would think maybe since it's a very intense heat, so you would not be able to leave food that's going to get better with age on it. Kamashulan, that you are allowed, since you did a maisa of covering over the coals, we're not afraid that you're going to mess with the coals. Okay, fine. Amud of sheishes, Amud of yochanan. Kirish is a kul begefas of eitzim. So now going back to the basic source here, Rav Sheishes says in the name of Yochanan that if you have a pot, oven, that you heat it up with wood, mashin aleh chamin. You're allowed to put on there hot water that was not fully cooked, right? The tavsha and tavsha that's not fully cooked, and okar, that's to leave it on before Shabbos. Okar, if you took it off, lo yachsir, you're not allowed to put it back. You're not allowed to put it back until you put a blech, right? So kasavar masnisin lahachsir tanam. So clearly he holds that our mishna is talking about chazara, putting it back, not leaving it. But to do shehiyah, you're allowed to leave it whether it's garuf, whether it's katan. This is, by the way we're going to paskin, but we'll get back to that in a minute. Amar Rava. So Rava says, Tarayu Tanani, I learned both. Lishos Tanina, we learned shehiyah, leaving the pot on there. Ein noisiness, and this is way back on Daf Yotes. Ein noisiness a pas b'soicha you're not allowed to put bread into an oven when it gets dark. And not a cake on top of coals, until the face of it gets crusty. But if the face of it gets crusty, then shari lahafse. I'm sorry, said, and it's mutter. Right? So we see clearly it doesn't have to be fully cooked. As long as it's partially cooked, you're okay. We also learned the mishna of Chazara. Beis Hillel says you're even allowed to put back cooked food. But Beis Hillel only allows you to put back the cooked food if you have a blech. But if it's not Gorav V'Kodem, then you're not allowed to. But if sheishes nami dukedam asnisim kamashmalam, right? So the Rav Sheishes is, so again, Rabbi Yochanan, wasn't Rabbi Yochanan, it was Rava says, whatever Rav Sheishes said, I have two mishnayos for it. So what's the answer? Rav Sheishes saying, yeah, I was just trying to make clear that the diuk in the Mishnah was correct. Fine. So Amar Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda Amar Rav Yochanan Kirish is a cool begavas veitzim mashna latavshish bishul kol tzarka v'chamashuchum al kol tzarka v'filu mitztamek viyafa. Okay, this is the way we paskin. You have a oven that you heated it up with wood. You're allowed to leave food that's fully cooked and chaman that's fully cooked, even if it gets better with age. You just said mitztamek v'yafle when it gets better with age is mutter, but we have Rav and Shmuel that say that it's aser. Amalei atu less I know yada. Amar Rav Yosef, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. It's not v'yafle aser. Do I not know that? I know that Rav Yosef said b'shem Shmuel that mitztamek v'yafle it gets better with age. It's aser. Ki kamim elach Rav Yochanan kamim. I'm talking about Rav Yochanan's shita who disagrees with Rav and Shmuel. So Amalei Rav Ukva Meshon Rav Ashi. Asan the makrivisa Rav Shmuel of Yiduk Rav Shmuel. This has to do with minyanim in the streets, Jesse. Yeah. So it says you who live near Rav and Shmuel have to do like Rav and Shmuel out of respect, because that's what they say, even though you may not hold of them, but since you're in their town or near their town, you got to do what they say. I'm not never Rav Yochanan, but we're going to do like Rav Yochanan because we don't live in the town of Rav and Shmuel. What's the story? Can you leave it on there? Rabbi Yehuda would leave his food on there, so why can't we? Rabbi Yehuda, don't bring in Rabbi Yehuda to give him the Mesukanu, since he was sick. Even he was sick, so therefore you can even put it on Shabbos. You can even cook for him on Shabbos because he's sick. Leave a lach mai, but me and you, what's the din? In Surah, they left it on there. The Rav Nachman Yitzchak married the Ub Dahaba. Rav Nachman Yitzchak was somebody who it literally means he was a person of his actions, meaning, you have these certain guys that when they do something, you know that it's legit. So he was one of those guys that if he did it was legit. And he would leave his food on there from before Shabbos, and he would eat it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So 1 second. Let's stop. Yeah, and let's see. So the Taisus Amar of sheishes. After all this back and forth, I know it's been a little quiet. So that means that the Olam is having a little bit of a difficult time with this Gemara, which I understand. And basically, Taisus says that Rabbeinu Chananel paskins like Rav Sheishes.
Very dry sugya.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Right. So Taisus basically says we paskin like Rav Sheishes in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, and that's the way Rashi paskins, right? Then we paskin like Hananya, and Taisus says amutul lahashes afilu be'ena grufa. You're allowed to do shehiyah. You're allowed to leave your cooked food. Again, if you didn't get anything till now, right now, this is what you need to come out from this Gemara. That we paskin like Hananya, that you're allowed to leave cooked food, even if you don't have a blech, right? But for chazara, you definitely need a blech, right? And even if it's fully cooked, you need a blech. Meaning, basically, that is the halacha. That's what we come out. If you want to leave cooked food on the fire from before Shabbos, as long as it's really half cooked, we paskin like Hananya, and you're allowed to do that. But to do chazara, everybody holds that you have to have a blech on there. Now, there's a very interesting machlokes, the Mishnah Brura and the Chazon Ish. And I'm just stopping for a minute. I hope you don't mind, but I think it's kedai to at least discuss it. How you paskin l'mais? If the Shulchan Aruch paskin like we just said, you have a food. Let's say your soup. I don't know how you guys are knowing with soup or not, or cholent. If your cholent's fully cooked, you don't have a blech, right? So then you're paskening like this Gemara, like Hanani, who says you don't need any sort of blech, right? If you go like Beis Shamai, then you would need a blech. Correct. So that's the way Shulchan Aruch paskins. But then the Mishnah Berurah and the Bir Halacha says, and he brings the rush, that basically he says that the reason why Klal Yisrael decided to be lenient, because this is a big machlokes. Again, I just want to clarify it. Do you need a blech if you want to leave fully cooked food on the fire before Shabbos? Right?
Shabbos kol chasa. I just have this. This Friday night says you can leave it on without anything. You just want to take it off.
Correct. That's the way we paskin, right? So the question is why we paskin like this, right? So many Rishonim go like that, but what the Rush says, and this is the Bir Halacha and Siman Reish Nun Gimel, if anybody wants to look it up, he quotes the Rush, who says the reason why we decided, so you're really pounding it, man, right? Yeah.
Don't let us for the 4 cups.
I'm assuming it's not soda.
Swallow realized the Miami Concert's a double feature.
Yeah, that's why he wants us to go overtime on the block. But anyways, so
Yaakov, why does it have to be fully cooked according to Psak Halacha?
It doesn't.
Chananya holds even if it's Kamacha Ben Yisai.
No, in a Chanami, it doesn't. It doesn't.
No, I'm saying it doesn't have to be. It could just be cooked a little bit, and that's it. No,
because as long as it's cooked halfway, yes, 100%. But the Mishnah Berurah brings the Rush, who says that the reason why we decided to go lenient with this and we didn't require it to be fully cooked is because since Klal Yisrael is so makbid on the mitzvah of Shabbos, right? Of Einik Shabbos, they're not going to listen to the chumras, right? They're not going to listen to the chumras. Did you follow that? The Rush says Klal Yisrael, since they want to have hot food on Shabbos, since they respect Shabbos so much, they are not going to listen to us if we're machmer, and therefore, that's why we're mekel. So the Bir Halacha says, okay, so if that's the case, then really we should be machmer, not like Hananya, right? That's what the Bir Halacha comes out, and he says you should always use a blech, even if the food is fully cooked. That's what the Bir Halacha says is preferable. The Chazon Ish says that that's not what the Rush meant. The Rush meant that Klal Yisrael is very makbid on Hilchos Shabbos, and therefore we are going to be mekel like the opinions that say that it only has to be half cooked. Not because, meaning the way the Mishnah Berurah understands the Rush, its pshat is that Klal Yisrael is not going to listen. So therefore they're not going to listen because they keep Shabbos, they want to keep Shabbos so much. So therefore, if we are the type of guys that will listen, so then we should keep it. And the Chazon Ish says, no, that's not what the Rush means. The Rush means that we paskin that you could be mekel. Whatever it is, bottom line is we paskin l'chatchila like Hananya. Of course, it is better to have your food fully cooked before Shabbos, but if you can't, we paskin like Hananya, and then even if the food is going to be mitztamek viyafa, even if it's going to get better with age, it's still going to be okay. Okay, fine. So now we. So
Yaakov, a crock pot. Everyone goes crazy about putting things in the bottom and all this stuff. Halacha l'maisa, why would you need all that stuff to be gar v'katan? There's no Indian at all to do that.
No, correct.
Seems like halacha l'maisa.
Yeah, but if you want to take shalom Friday night with a crock pot and you want to put it back in, so then you need a blech. So then you need a blech. So that's why people are going crazy. And then there's the hatmana issue, which I don't want to get into now, which we discussed a little bit, but you would need a blech if you want to put your food. A lot of people don't realize this. They think that you could just take the crock pot out and you put it back in without a blech. It's absolutely not the halacha. You have to have a blech if you want to put it back in. You don't need a blech for shehiyah. Putting it on before Friday night, putting it on before Shabbos, you don't need a blech. Even though the Mishnah Berurah would say that it's better to put a blech, but we don't paskin like that. Right? And but if you want to put it back, according to all opinions, you need to have a blech.
And covering the knob?
Covering the knob, according to Rabbi Aaron Kotler, works for shehiyah. If you want to be machmer for shehiyah, then it works, but not for chazara. To put it back, covering the knob does not work. Question is, do you have to, in addition, cover the knob? Because that's ultimately what controls the fire, is the knob, right?
Right.
So that's
put a piece.
What? Lost you there.
It up and I
take off the knobs.
What?
Take off the knobs.
Or take off the knob, whatever. Do something to the knob.
But if I put a piece in to raise it, folded silver foil inside between inside the crock pot,
between the two layers, and I cover the knob. I'm good.
Correct. Yes. Okay. So Amar Rav Ashi, Kaimna Kamedu Rafuna. This is now we're 6 lines up from the wide lines. Amar Rav Ashi, Kaimna Kamedu Rafuna, Vashan le Kasa the Harsana v'Achal. And he did shehiyah on this Kasa the Harsana. Kasa the Harsana was like the food of back then. It's like hot dogs. I mean, that's not what it was. Where it's cooked, it was basically fish cooked together with some sort of wheat. So he ate it. I don't know whether he left it on there Friday night. If because he felt that the longer this fish cooks, it's going to get better, but that's still mutter. Or because maybe there's wheat in there, so the wheat gets burned. The fish will be okay, but the wheat will get burned, and it's mitztamek v'rala, so he has no problem with it. So Rav Nachman mitztamek v'yafa asur. Mitztamek v'yafa is asur. Mitztamek v'rala mutter. If it's mitztamek, if it's getting better with age. If it gets worse with age, then it's mutter. Follow the mill. So what's the rule? Call the ispe micha mitztamek v'rala. If it has wheat in it, then it's gonna get worse with age. Levar mitavshel the lifta, except if you have mixed in with it. Lifta is how do you say lifta? Gourds, something like that. Yeah. Who?
Isn't it a turnip?
Turnip, whatever. One of those type of vegetables, right? Because even though it has wheat in it, it's still mitztamek v'yafa. That's only if it has meat. If it has no meat in it, then it's also going to get bad with age. And even if it has meat in it, that's only if you don't need it for guests. But if you're putting the meat there and you're having guests, then it's going to be bad too, because for guests, you don't want to serve shriveled up meat. You want to serve good, proper meat. So therefore, you're not going to want it to sit longer. So therefore, there's no concern that you're going to mess with the coals. Yeah? Lifta, daisa v'tamri. What do you say? It is turnip? No, it's dates. And daisa is some sort of porridge. And tamri is a different type of date food, mitztamek v'rala, and they all are considered mitztamek v'rala. Okay, fine. Now, really, we're supposed to go another Amud. Are we all in for that? So we can cover for the Yom Tif, or we burned out? Burned out, huh?
Whatever you're doing.
Mitztamek v'rala.
Follow the leader.
Already. Huh?
Let's do it.
Say we should do it.
I mean, aren't we having share tomorrow?
We are, yeah. But I'm saying there's a couple of days that we have to.
Make up for Tuesday night and Wednesday night.
What?
We need to make up Tuesday night and Wednesday night.
Unless we have share Tuesday afternoon again.
Why can't we do our Pesach share again?
Why can we do Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday night?
We'll do an Erev Pesach and Erev
Thursday night.
Oh, Thursday night, I mean.
Okay, you know what? So
by the way, Thursday night's going to be a big problem. Everyone has to turn over before shot. You know that's going to be.
Totally. If we have shear, we could get out of helping. What's the matter?
Now you're talking.
I can't hear you.
It's a Gemara.
You could always do the longest Pesach.
Yeah, we might just do that. Okay, so we'll leave it for tonight. We'll see how much we can do tomorrow. Tomorrow the Gemara is a little easier than today, and then the next blot is shorter, so it gets easier. So okay, so we'll leave it.
Just if anybody was wondering, I spoke to Rabbi Kurland for a good 10 minutes before, and Baruch Hashem, he's getting better, and he doesn't understand why anybody made a WhatsApp group in dire situation, but Baruch Hashem, he's getting better every day. He does have pneumonia, but he's on antibiotics, and every day he gets stronger and stronger.
Okay, that's good news. Look at that.
The WhatsApp groups are no good. I just got it on 3 WhatsApp groups.
Look at that.
Look at that. Look at the power. Look at the power we have.
Yeah, but clearly it wasn't you because you were on the phone with him.
For 10 minutes. It's all up in there. Don't worry.
Who's he sitting Shiva for?
What?
That's Shelly.
Shelly.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, Mommy put it out, Israel. Shelly is a friend of mine.
Shelly, Israel, you were one of her favorite boyfriends.
I know. Me and Ben Jacoby of all people.
I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult.
Just stating what it was.
Naftali Lando, did they end up using Sheyashu for a hospital or not?
Well, today I went by there. They got the whole security out there and keeping everything locked down. So I heard they got the approval. I just don't know how Northwell Health is planning on transferring patients. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a Ellie Rowe project, so it's.
Oh, so you mean there'll be a lot
out of the loop? I'm out of the loop.
You mean there'll be a lot of PR and no action?
There's going to be a lot of like landing planes on the roof and stuff like that.
All right, everybody. Have a good night.
Good morning.
Where's the stop button?
Harris, did you get your results back?
No. Not yet.
Yeah, but you're not